Okay, good. Okay. Alright. What is up, everyone? Today, we are reacting to 1,000 mosquitoes versus blood, and 10,000 mealworms versus watermelon. Watermelon is actually really good.
Summer style, you can leave quite an impression.
Shut your mouth. I know your games and what you're about.
This is 1,000 mosquito eggs.
Ew.
Just a couple days, they're going to hatch into 1,000 actual flying mosquitoes, and I'm going to be doing the most interesting experiments with, like feeding them a pool of blood. Anyways, right now, the mosquito eggs we have are dormant, but all they need to hatch is...
Kill them. I hate... I cannot explain how much I hate mosquitoes. Kill them right now as an egg. Bro, no one would be upset if you just put them in like an ice box or just grab all the eggs and feed them to an iguana or something. No one would be upset about that, okay?
A bit of water. The second a dry mosquito egg touches water, the embryos inside absorb it and basically come to life. And literally within only a few minutes of adding in the water, check out this area right here. Tiny little white specks started to poke out from the top of this single egg. Everyone, this is a mosquito larva. Also known as a wiggler. Yeah, you can probably tell why they're called wigglers based on how much they wiggle. But over the next few days, this will eat food and literally evolve into a fully grown mosquito. It will actually be one of the craziest things you'll ever see. Oh, but yeah, I almost forgot. We don't just have one. We have 1,000 mosquitoes that
Kill it. I hate them. You guys don't know how much I actually hate mosquitoes. I hate them so much.
Raising, and only a minute later, another wiggler started to wiggle out, then another. And soon enough, this tank was starting to get overrun with our new pets. I have to be so careful in this video. Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Literally 1,000 mosquito larvae are right here.
I hate it.
We want them to turn into real mosquitoes.
I hate it.
We gotta do to speed up their growth process. Of course, starting with feeding them. And I don't even know what these things eat. I mean, they're practically microscopic at this stage. Yeah. I mean, I guess let me just search, what do mosquito larvae eat? Enter. And it looks like they eat microscopic organic matter. Oh, I actually have an idea of how I can
hate it.
This is fish.
Kill it.
Yeah, not super special, but for when the larvae are this small, it works perfectly.
Like, I know it sounds like I'm mean dramatic when I say I hate mosquitoes, but no. Y'all don't know how much I actually hate them. I hate them. Like, they're so pesky.
Quickly to crush up into tiny little pieces. And immediately after dropping in some of this crushed food, it sank down to the bottom for the larvae to start eating. Since the larvae were just born about an hour ago, they're still so unbelievably small that it's just so hard to see, but you can kind of make out the shape of its mouth.
We shall not feed these larvae. We shall let them starve and die.
You look very closely, right?
By the way, YouTube, this is all a joke, okay? This joke purposes. I do hate mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are annoying, but these are all jokes, okay?
Yeah. It's insane how there's a brain.
By the way, forgot to say shout out to Terra alright?
Full life in something this tiny. Anyways, you can see they tried to eat most of this food, but it's still a bit big. So once it dissolves into the water, it'll become even easier for these guys to eat it. But things get fun quickly, because these wigglers are more than double in size every 24 hours. So I have a feeling if we come back tomorrow, these guys are going to be a lot bigger. Good morning, Terra Greeners. I just woke up. The mosquitoes are probably bigger now. I haven't really checked, though. Look. Wait, I haven't even zoomed in yet. And wait, you can literally see. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, if you can't tell by this footage, the larvae are so much bigger now. And when I turned on my camera to record them in detail, I was amazed by how much they grew literally overnight. The day before, this was the most footage I could get of these guys. But now, the larvae almost filled up the entire...
Why are they, like, chilling at the top of the water like that? That looks so creepy.
Frame, and look at how much more detailed they are. This black bulb at the bottom is their heads, and they're so big already, we can make out their mouth a lot easier, and we can even see their tiny little eyes. These guys are so cool, because you can literally see how their mouth works as a little boat motor, essentially, and they can just use it to slowly drift among the water surface. Sometimes they'll even curl up and start sucking up microscopic food particles from the surface. Okay, well this video is all about doing the funnest experiments with the mosquitoes, so next up, I want to test their light instincts. Because if you didn't know, know, adult flying mosquitoes are insanely attracted to light. I mean, they'll just swarm light at night. But I was wondering if that instinct starts when they are babies. Well, to figure it out, I turned off all the lights in my garage and watched what they did. Pretty quickly, the larvae actually started to rise to the surface way more. If you remember, most of the larvae were spending most of their time together, sort of near the bottom of the tanks when the lights were on. But yeah, with the lights off, they all like to be on the surface, apparently. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But now, what I want to do is take this super bright studio light and position it pointing right at the side of the enclosure. So that way, we can turn it on. Oh, there we go. And we can see what they do. Yeah, let's see. And literally the second after turning on this light, like magic, the larvae started to migrate away from it. And they all started to gather up on the right side as far away from the light as possible. Wait, so these guys are moving away from the light. Huh, that's interesting. The fully grown mosquitoes, they'll completely swarm light. But when they're larvae, they will completely avoid it. So to confirm my theory, I turned off this light and moved it over to the right side. And immediately, the larvae did exactly what I thought they would, and they went back to the left side. Since I could kind of control where they were, I thought it'd be funny to kind of just swap the lights on and off.
No, bro, you're gonna give them super speed.
Off on each side, and, make them do some exercise. Listen, okay, I gotta train some strong... See, I thought I could save you, but you just pulled me... And, make them do some exercise. Listen, okay, I gotta train some strong, capable mosquitoes for when I put them up against a pile of blood. It's gonna be so interesting. Dang, that is actually so cool to watch how they do that. So apparently they do this because they don't want to get eaten by fish, of course, and if they're in the darkness, then it's obviously harder for the fishes to see them. But actually, very interestingly, while I was doing that last test, if I go and stir the floor around like that and zoom in, you can see there's tons of what almost looks like just dead mosquito.
Yes! Let's go! Yes!
Larvae that is just drifting around in the water. Now, I got worried for a second. I thought something was going around killing all the mosquitoes. But don't worry, I actually figured out that these are not dead.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Mosquito larvae. You see, what these are actually the old skin of our current larvae. You see, these guys apparently shed off their old skin 4 times before becoming a flying mosquito. Basically, just like how other animals will molt their skin off when it's time to grow bigger. So, of course, now that I know that, for the next experiment, I gotta see if I can capture on camera a shot of them molting. Basically, what I'm gonna do is go and move my lights back to the, the back of the enclosure, and basically, that's gonna cause all the larvae to go and swim to the front. And then I can just leave my camera running for like 24 hours, and surely I can capture at least one of these guys molting to get that shot for you guys. And so yeah, I recorded this for like 2 hours, and after thoroughly reviewing all of the footage, none of the larvae actually shed their skin, unfortunately. But obviously, I was not gonna give up. So I spent hours actively recording with my camera, watching every single larvae at the water surface. Apparently, they only molt out their skin when they're hanging upside down from the top, and after about 2 hours, I found this larva. You can tell he was about to molt by the fact that he was hanging upside down for a pretty long time without moving, and every now and then, he would try and twitch to squeeze out of his old skin. If you look very closely right here, you can see his old skin starting to slide up and off, and this white part right here is his new skin underneath. But after watching this guy for like another hour, all of a sudden, he just started to float down, and he fell all the way to the floor and completely stopped moving. Yeah, apparently the molting process is actually really grueling for mosquitoes, and there's a chance that they can use all their energy while doing it and die. Which...
Yes! Yeah! Let's go.
Which I guess just happened to this guy. Rest in peace, bro. But of course, this was not going to stop me, because I kept recording for longer and longer until I eventually caught this footage. Keep in mind, this is literally the first footage on the internet of a mosquito larvae molting because of how hard it is to catch. So you can't complain about how trash this footage quality is. But anyways, you can see it started to shake violently, and it started to slide out of its old skin. This dark part is his new skin, and eventually he was able to fully slide out, and only his molt was left behind. It's so cool to watch this happen. And after it does, the new larvae swims away and leaves the old skin behind, which that skin will probably get eaten by another larvae very soon for some protein. Let's go! I'm so happy we just got to see that. But in fact, I just spent so long trying to get that shot that almost all of our larvae now are pretty much fully grown, meaning yes, we're about to have 8,000 mosquitoes hatching in just a matter of days. And about that, it would be extremely illegal and just really bad if a mosquito escaped, let alone 1,000 mosquitoes. So I have a feeling Dylan, it's time we build some sort of containment system. Oh man. Now thankfully I had this big tank sitting in my garage, which would actually be a perfect fit to put over our current tank, so when the mosquitoes hatch, they won't be able to just fly away. But obviously there's a big opening on the bottom, which would be bad if we had to move this. All the mosquitoes would get out. So what I did was put our current tank in here while the big one was sideways. And then I got this piece of clear acrylic that I'm going to be able to attach to the front. And when I attach this piece of acrylic, it's going to make sure no mosquitoes can get out. But you're probably wondering why I got all these massive holes right here. Well, what I'm going to do is this. And as you can see, I just put mesh in each of the corners so, you know, air can get in. But I left this hole open in the middle so I can put a little door here so we'll be able to put stuff in, but mosquitoes won't be able to get out. It's pretty simple to make though, because all we gotta do is attach this little sleeve contraption I made and put a clamp on the end. Basically how it works is if you want to put your arm inside, you go ahead and take off the safety clamp like that. And basically what you do is while you're holding it still, you gotta carefully stretch your arm inside, and then boom, when it's around your arm, it's very airtight and you can go ahead and put your arm inside. And you see I have access to here and the mosquitoes won't be able to get out, and it's very easy to go and take my arm out, keep it shut, and then I can go and put the clamp back on. And after I had my dad silicone the acrylic on, boom, this containment system is done. But guys, there's actually something I didn't tell you about these mosquitoes. In their life cycles, there's a whole nother stage of life before becoming mosquitoes that lasts about a day. And when I came back the next day to my tank, I noticed they were already entering it. Oh my gosh, guys, look at what I just saw. Take a look at the larvae in here. You see these little circular things swimming around next to the actual larvae? Those are the pupae, and that means they're about to hatch. You see, these pupae are also called tumblers because, well, they tumble down when they sense potential danger nearby. But the coolest thing is how these guys look. They got these weird, scary-looking eyes. They got little horns that act as snorkels for oxygen. And, of course, they look way different from a larva with that cool shrimp-shaped body. And if you're wondering how it looks when a larva turns into a pupae,
wild.
well, this awesome footage from Backyard Bugs shows it. Basically, the skin splits at the thorax area, and very similarly to how the larvae molt, the new pupae will slide out, and yeah.
I'm Dr. Jacob Zahn. I work at UPMC Steel City Internal Medicine.
My name is Ethan O'Neill. I'm a PAC. That means
The new pupae will slide out, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yes, sir. These guys are so cool, but we haven't even got to see the coolest part where they literally crawl out the pupae, and it's like an alien movie. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't think that shot's gonna be too hard to get because we're on like day 8, and check what has just started to hatch. Yup, that is a mosquito.
Kill it.
There's like 3 mosquitoes in here right now, so it shouldn't be long till we have much more. You see, the pupae get darker and darker as they get closer to turning into a mosquito. So since this pupae is bright white, I know he won't be hatching anytime soon, but these pupae here are extremely dark, meaning the mosquito is right under that skin, ready to crawl out. So to make the shot even easier to get, I'm gonna suck all the darkest pupae up into this little pipette and put them in this container to make it easier to record. Now since mosquitoes have already started to hatch, I actually had to use the door I made to get my hand inside so they wouldn't escape, and I used my little pipette to start sucking up as many of the dark pupae as I could. Then I put them into a temporary container, and I started to film. Thankfully, the pupae hatched within only a few hours of turning black, so it was literally only about an hour of recording till I caught this on camera. Out of nowhere, this pupae here started to straighten out its tail. This makes a little tunnel here for the head of the mosquito to start squeezing out. It's so nasty, but you can see how this area here just keeps inflating. The mosquito is literally being born in front of our eyes, and you can see how it's leaving the clear pupa skin behind. All of a sudden, his little mouth pops out here that they use to suck blood, and soon after, you can see his wings popped out as well. Oh my gosh, guys, this is insane! Wait, this is happening right now. Finally, the legs stop sticking to the body, and bada bing, bada boom, that's how a mosquito is born. They'll basically stand here for like half an hour while they wait for their body and wings to harden up. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to just let this guy fly out. Yeah, when you hatch mosquitoes in your house, it is just illegal to let them escape. So I'm gonna try and move them into this tank, but if I can't do it, I do have this here. But thankfully, I didn't have to use that since it was super easy to just grab with tweezers and let it loose in the containment system. W mosquitoes, bro. That was one of the coolest things
No, it's not a W mosquito, bro. Mosquitoes are probably the worst thing humanity has created. Like, what's the point of mosquitoes? To be annoying and, like, suck blood?
See. Well, guys, it's been another few days, and I'm proud to say we have 100+ mosquitoes now. I mean, we got tons just flying around. We got even more just sitting all over the glass. And that's not even to mention all the mosquitoes just hiding around. Now, I can test these guys with my last 2 mosquito experiments, starting with sticking my hand inside of the tank of mosquitoes. But in addition to my hand going in there, I've also got a couple kinds of mosquito repellent, so we can test if these things actually work. I am definitely about to get bit. So I started to apply the first mosquito repellent to my arm by spraying it. You see, mosquitoes are insanely attracted to the scent and heat of human skin, but somehow the spray stuff completely blocks all of those and messes with the mosquito senses. Theoretically, when I stick my hand in there, I shouldn't get bit. Well, I guess let's just do this. And as I stuck my hand in, I got very nervous. I hate mosquito bites. They're flying very close, but yeah, I don't think they can even sense that this is a hand right now. Yeah, I literally left my hand in there another 30 seconds, and not a single mosquito even landed on it. When normally, they would definitely be swarming it. Dang, this stuff works good. If you need some mosquito repellent, I recommend this brand. It's not sponsored or anything, but it's pretty good. But now the second mosquito repellent I want to test. Well, you see this app right here? This app claims to literally make a sound that will repel mosquitoes. Ooh, you hear that? It's like a high-pitched buzz. Okay, well, let's see if this works. I've heard these apps are myths, but as I put my hand inside, the mosquitoes weren't instantly swarming it. In fact, they were acting kind of similar to earlier when I was testing the spray stuff, even though I had thoroughly washed it all off my hand. Maybe these apps actually do work. That was until I found this when I took my hand out. Okay, for a second, I thought this app actually worked. Let me turn off this ear-piercing sound. But then I realized I actually got bit, like, right there. I can definitely feel it. It's starting to itch and stuff. Don't use these apps, guys. I can assure you they're fake, but I guess this stuff kind of does work. Anyways, now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Mosquitoes versus blood. And yes, I actually have a jar of blood from a cow. Oh my gosh. Now, in order to make this have a chance to work, I had to fill up this little container with a bunch of blood, and then I put some saran wrap on top. This way, the mosquitoes could stick their little mouthpiece through it and get filled up with blood if they're hungry. Finally, I just warmed it up in the microwave so it would recreate the temperature that mosquitoes like, and I put it inside the tank. Let's see what these mosquitoes do. Now, for the first like 20 minutes, pretty much none of the 100 mosquitoes were interested. They were kind of just hiding around and not moving much, so I kept trying tons of new stuff, like dimming the lights, because apparently mosquitoes don't like to eat under the bright light. And after trying so much stuff and recording for hours, not a singular mosquito tried to eat this blood. In this cool footage, you can see mosquitoes literally only take a couple seconds to land on an arm and get completely filled up with blood. But for some reason, they only like to drink blood from arms, and not just liquid blood, apparently, like we have here. Literally, all the mosquitoes had gathered up on the other side of the enclosure to avoid it. Yeah, I literally just tried to record this for 2 days. None of the mosquitoes were interested. I didn't want to have to not upload the video just because the last experiment failed. The whole point of the channel is to get crazy animal ideas and see if they're actually possible. Unfortunately, this one wasn't, but all the other experiments were, and we got to learn all about the mosquito life cycle, which was just so interesting to watch, so I had to upload this. Hopefully you guys learned something new and were entertained. And about these mosquitoes, I had to buy this massive freezer to terminate the colony.
Yes!
Legally required after filming with mosquitoes to ensure none of them escape. So I'm gonna get to doing that, guys.
Yes.
I guess see you later. Goodbye.
One plan, one price.
Avatar Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+.
How long do you think he had to sit them in the freezer for? Probably a minute.
Yeah, this is the most nastiest thing I've ever done. These are mealworms, and they're known for their ability to eat almost anything. But what if you put 10,000 mealworms on a whole watermelon? How quickly would they completely eat it and turn it to mush despite its massive size? Yeah, I don't know, so that's why I bought 10,000 mealworms. Yeah, this is the most nastiest thing I've ever done, but it'll also be one of the most satisfying things I'll ever do on the channel. Okay, well, I got the watermelons right here, but I actually first just kind of want to put this piece of bread in here, see how quickly these mealworms will start to devour it. So yeah, I put the bread inside, and as you could probably imagine, the mealworms wasted no time to start swarming this thing, and of course, they then started to consume it. If you pay attention to right here in specific, hey, you can see how they just devour a massive hole right through the center of the bread. If they're doing this to the tiny piece of bread, imagine what they do to the full watermelon. Anyways, literally after only 4 hours, this bread was hollowed out with mealworms and just had holes all over it. But this is is literally nothing compared to the other time lapses I'll be showing off in the video. I have tons of stuff planned, ending with the final 10,000 mealworms versus the whole watermelon. But don't think the stuff before is boring, because we're going to be starting with leeches. Yup, you heard that right. For the first time lapse I'll be recording, I went and bought 5 big leeches. Yup, leeches usually live in the wild and grab onto unsuspecting prey to basically just suck the blood out of them. Well, since I have 5 of these leeches and they're in captivity, it's going to allow me to get some insane time-lapse footage of them sucking the life out of a food object as the leeches get bigger. It should be pretty cool. Now, if you watch my video about keeping pet leeches, you know they basically like to spend all their time under the water, so that's why I'll be setting up an aquarium for this test. And then quickly, I'm just going to fill up this tank with this, so I can go ahead and put the leeches inside, so we can get this test started. So yeah, I put each of these 5 leeches inside, and I put a lid on top so they didn't escape. And immediately, you can kind of just see how they all just start swimming around under the water, just sort of like how snakes do. Yeah, it's kind of weird, honestly, but once they want to stop swimming, they'll go up to the glass and just grab onto it using the end of their bodies basically as a suction cup. It's actually pretty cool. Anyways, for the food I'll be feeding these guys, it's this piece of beef liver. Well, alright, why don't we just drop this slimy nastiness into here and see how long it takes for these leeches to get absolutely massive. And so step 1 was to actually get the leeches to bite onto this piece of meat, which is pretty easy. You basically just pick up the piece of meat with tweezers and start bringing it up to the leeches' faces until they grab onto it. So yeah, I just went around and picked up all the leeches onto the meats. But if you couldn't tell, the water quality got super bad because of the beef liver, so I decided to actually let the leeches eat the beef liver out of the water, since in the wild, that's actually how they prefer to feast. And while a couple of the leeches kind of detached from the piece of meat and started to run away, 3 of the leeches actually did stay on it, so I could watch as they started to eat. You can literally see them contract their throats in and out as they basically use their teeth to grind the meat up, and then they suck it up like a smoothie up into their bodies. But things actually did not go to plan, because out of nowhere, this leech decided to detach from the piece of meat, and then he just started to slither away randomly. Then the other 2 leeches decided to detach too, and this guy decided to just burrow into the piece of meat, and this one just slithered away. Hey, at least we got to watch him eat for a little bit, but this is why I love time lapses. You just capture random interesting stuff like this. But even these leeches are nowhere near as interesting as the time lapse coming up later, because the time lapses get cooler as the video progresses. So that's why for our second time lapse, we're going to be recording flesh-eating beetles. Yes, you heard that right, flesh-eating beetles. And they're called that because they're beetles that eat flesh. And well, let me show you why that is so cool. Now, as you can see, there's some actual flesh-eating beetles in here, but most of the things in here are still in their larva stage, which means they're actually even more hungry than usual. And you see, these insects are cool because they can literally just eat the flesh off of animals to the point where they only leave the skeleton bones behind. So yeah, I'm gonna try and record a time lapse of that. And I've got thousands of flesh-eating beetles in here to the point if I put my finger in there, it would probably turn into a skeleton. Actually, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I put a piece of dog food in there. Hey, I guess let me get a quick time lapse real quick. So I put the dog food in, and oh guys, all I'll say is things are about to get interesting with these beetles. But as you could probably imagine, buying all these crazy bugs and worms is extremely expensive, and I've been needing to manage a lot of money, so that's why I'm glad today's sponsor is Chime. If you didn't know, Chime is the #1 most loved banking app that millions of Americans, including me, use to help people bank smarter and have their money work harder. But specifically, Chime, literally just having my money saved. Like I said, it's an entire banking app that has so much more to offer. $350. Anyways, let's get back to the flesh-eating beetles. And if you're wondering, it didn't take them very long for them to start swarming this piece of dog food. You see, these are dog treats that I buy for my dog, Jet, and they're made out of the top quality real beef ingredients, which of course Jet loves. But that also explains why these flesh-eating beetle larvae were also loving it. Anyways, it was pretty crazy how after just a few of these beetles latched onto the dog food, pretty much all of the beetles soon followed behind, until literally this piece of dog food was literally like just not a piece of dog food anymore. This is just a living piece of flesh-eating beetle at this point. Yeah, there's just so many on here. Oh my gosh, bro, what? These guys are so hungry. So yeah, I shook them all off, because if you remember, the main reason I got these beetles is because I actually want to see if they could turn an animal into a skeleton by just eating its flesh. And I don't want them to get filled up on this, but anyways, considering this piece of dog food was only in there for like 10 minutes, the beetles made a pretty decent amount of progress by chewing a bunch of tiny little chunks out of it. Anyways, for the main course on feeding these guys,
Watch Avatar Fire and Dash on Disney+.
see.
The main course I'm feeding these guys, I've got a duck head. Yeah, and we're gonna see if they can turn it into a white duck skull. But yeah, don't worry guys, I didn't do this to the duck. I actually just bought this at the pet store. Apparently they're dog food. Jack, can you give this a taste test? You think the flesh-eating beetles, you think they're gonna like it? Yeah, he's licking it. I think he likes it. So since it passes the Jet taste test, I wasted no time to put this into our tank. Let's see what these bugs do. Now, immediately things were pretty interesting because many of the beetles, of course, were drunk.
So is he gonna buy one for his dog for it to eat it also? I'm so confused.
Onto this nasty duck head, and pretty much all of the beetles started to gather at the base of the head. These guys were all slowly chewing away at the fur of this duck head, and it was cool because you could gradually see the group of flesh-eating beetles move up along the side of the duck head, and they were even eating it so much that they ended up knocking it over. Eventually, it was so nasty because the beetles had just completely swarmed the head and were crawling in and out different parts of it, like the hole in the beak. And after leaving this in here for a full 24 hours, you could just see how much they chewed through all the fur and just how nasty this is. But the real damage was done on the bottom of the skull where it was completely chewed through. These are the literal bones of the duck skull, and this is just straight up so disgusting. This looks like a zombie duck head at this point. Oh my gosh, this smells so bad, you guys don't even know. But dang, check this out. I'm actually kind of surprised this didn't just like turn a completely white skull kind of color, because I know these beetles sometimes do that, but I guess it makes sense. This is just kind of dog food, but I would call it a success. I mean, look at how destroyed this thing is. Anyway, so these guys will definitely make a very interesting addition to my pet collection. Alrighty, we're almost at the final 10,000 mealworms versus watermelon test. But quickly, I'm excited to show you guys time-lapse number 3, which is an alien creature digging. Yup, you know how some people set up their ant colonies in 2D ant nests to get footage of them digging out those tunnels along the glass? Well, this alien creature is actually able to do the same exact thing. Let me show you how. Yeah, so this thing's called a vinegaroon, and this is the same one from a few videos ago on my channel. But you see, I call them an alien because, I mean, just look at them. They look extremely weird, and they have these claws at the front of their body that actually allow them to dig. Yup, and for this guy, as you can see, I filled this tank up with a bunch of clay. But if you look, I actually left a hole on the side of the glass empty. That way, when I go and fill this place up with dirt, the vinegaroon won't be able to make a hole anywhere in this dirt other than that hole I made in the clay right on the side of the glass there. Now, anyways, after getting the dirt in, I wasted no time to put the vinegaroon inside. Now, immediately, this alien creature wasn't exactly super interested in digging. He was kind of just trying to climb out. But you see, that's because there's actually a few things I have to set up in here to make this guy want to dig quickly. First of all, I put this water dish in here, and then I started to use my finger to dig out a little tunnel under the water dish. Now, when the vinegaroon comes over here, he'll find the little entrance to the burrow I made, and when he's ready to dig, he'll know where to start. So, guys, I just went and set up my time-lapse camera in another room so we could observe what these creatures do when no one's watching. And yeah, during the first few hours, since it was technically still day, you can see he was very active amongst the top section, still trying to escape. But the second it hit nighttime, this dude went down to the burrow section, and he started to dig up like a straight-up drill. Nah, let's see that on an instant replay. That's actually pretty cool. You can literally see the pile of dirt up here grow as the vinegaroon digs out all the dirt from the tunnel. I think this is some of the clearest footage ever caught of these creatures digging. It's pretty cool to watch. Well, dang, now that this guy dug this tunnel, you're probably wondering why they actually make these tunnels. Well, they actually make them to hunt. And, well, I got a cricket right in here. Let's drop this thing in. And so after I dropped the cricket in, he started to walk around the top area. But little did he know, the vinegaroon was right under his feet, waiting in the burrow for food to walk in. And a little bit later, the cricket did just that. He started squeezing through the opening that was dug out the night before, and he went in deep enough to where the vinegaroon was sitting. I know it got super foggy in here when I brought it to my recording area, so it's kind of hard to see, but the vinegaroon started to attack the cricket, and he started to chase him out the burrow. The cricket tried to escape, but it was no use because the claws of the vinegaroon are just too strong. And I know you guys can't really see it well in this footage, but I can assure you the cricket is no longer with us, to put it lightly. Dang, that was cool. But I'm gonna go and move this guy back to his original enclosure I built in the original video. Well, guys, it's finally time to do our final time lapses with the 10 10,000 mealworms. Okay, I'm not gonna waste any time, and I'm gonna record some stuff right away. But before we do the watermelon, I actually want to start with something a lot more interesting. This thing. Yeah,
Oh my
this is
God.
literally a piece of styrofoam. And you're probably wondering right now, what the heck, Terra Green? Why are you feeding this to the worms? Well, it's because mealworms have an absolutely insane special ability, and it's actually that they can somehow digest styrofoam. Yeah, talk about the
What?
latest special ability ever, but I just had to get a time lapse showing this off, and immediately these dudes start to completely climb all over the styrofoam, completely covering it. I don't know
That's
why
wild.
mealworms are one of the only animals that can eat styrofoam. It's honestly kind of weird, and the craziest part about this time lapse is if you look right down here, you can literally see the moment when the mealworms decided to start chewing a massive hole through the side of the styrofoam, so they could literally crawl inside to eat more. It's super cool. And anyways, after leaving the styrofoam in here all night, I shook off all the mealworms so we could see the damage that was done, and holy, look at this thing. First of all, that hole the mealworms shoot through the side is nasty, and it's still filled to the brim with worms. Ugh. Then just this whole top part has bite marks all over it, and this thing is probably hollowed out and just filled with worms. Nah. And yeah, if you're wondering about the other pieces of styrofoam, basically the exact same thing happened to them, and they got obliterated. It's safe to say these mealworms are hungry. Now, I think it's about time we get out the watermelon so we can do the final time lapse.
You hate me.
I love how when it shook
Want
the
a
table,
situationship.
all the mealworms like jumped a feet.
Do the final
A foot in
time
the
lapse, and I
air.
got a knife here so I can go and cut this thing up so we can reveal the nice juicy red part. So yeah, that's exactly what I did, and I just put the watermelon straight into this tank so we could get this test started right away. Now you already know the mealworms started to, of course, climb all over the watermelons right away. Mealworms love watermelons because, of course, they're super sugary and sweet, but they're also made out of 92% water, meaning the mealworms can just get super hydrated. Now it's so crazy because you can see how nice and bright red this watermelon is now. Well, it only took a couple hours until that bright red completely started to fade as thousands of mealworms started to climb all over the watermelon, nibbling tiny little pieces out of it. And yeah, this all happened in the time span of only 12 hours. Yeah, I literally just left this overnight. Okay, I just checked on this for the first time since waking up, and first of all, this smells absolutely disgusting. But look at this. This was a bright red color like 10 hours ago, but it's like completely rotting because of what these mealworms are doing to it. This is nasty, and they're making all these tiny little holes in it. Nah. Anyways, I moved the tank to the floor to continue the rest of the time lapse. But as you can see in this footage, as I continued recording, the mealworms weren't nearly as interested in the watermelon. Pretty much none of them were even eating it anymore. I mean, it does look pretty rotten, to be honest, so I guess it would make sense to why they don't want to eat it. But yeah, I decided to just stop the time lapse since they weren't eating it anymore, and I came back 24 hours later so I could see the full results of what the watermelon looked like. What the heck? This is so nasty. Is that mold growing on the watermelons? Oh my gosh. But actually, to my surprise, when I took a look under the watermelons, there was massive holes chewed through the green shell part. And like this watermelon here had so much chewed through this part. So yeah, I guess the mealworms really were eating the watermelon, but I guess it just wasn't showing up on the time lapse because it was happening under where we could see it. Dang, that's actually insane that they could eat so much. Anyways, hopefully you guys learned something new or were entertained by the time lapses I showed you in this video. And about these 10,000 mealworms, well, I'm gonna have to see if I can get these donated to a pet shop or something. Anyway, since the last video I'm posting in 2025, I just want to give a massive special thanks to everyone that's been watching the channel this year. We've seriously grown so much, and we've just posted so many fun and cool videos. So seriously, guys, thank you. I actually appreciate it.
Anyways, that
And of
being
course, thanks.
said, hopefully y'all enjoy.
Again to Chime for sponsoring this video. Remember.
No, shut up. Anyways, hopefully y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Shout out to Terra Green. Anyways, that being said, stay happy, healthy, stay beautiful, stay safe. Most important to yourself. See y'all in the real. Love ya. And peace. Peace.